Hey guys, welcome back to Senegalese Twisted. Today I'm back with another review on Maîtresse and I. Marié. Today we're going to talk about episode 10 of the second season. And there is so much to talk about because this episode was actually 50 minutes long. And so much has happened. So I'm not going to talk too long. We're just going to jump right into it. The first scene is Homme and Cher exchanging some lovely words, and I believe that Cher is like telling Homme that he loves her and that he's going to be responsible because the last episode ended with Homme demanding from Cher that he needs to take responsibility for his choices and the fact that he chose for Homme and that he needs to step up his game. So this episode started with him saying to Homme that, you know what, I'm going to be responsible and everyone will know that you're my wife because I chose you. And at this moment I have a lot of problems with my family and other problems that you cannot even fathom, but I want us to be fighting on the same page as a united front, and I ask of you that you are patient. And I thought that was really mature of Cher, and he finally has decided what he actually wants, and that is to be there for Homme and to fight for her. So Homme told Cher that, you know what, I'll support you and I understand where you're coming from, and I believe that your family is not even evil. I think that they just don't know me, and I'll do my best to show them the better side of me. And when I was in Abidjan, I actually realized how much you mean to me, and I thought that was really cute. And they were just saying that, you know what, I love you, I will not leave you. And at the end you see that Homme is actually suddenly standing up and sits by the end of the bed, and she's actually saying to Cher that, you know what, I also love you very much, and I gave so much of myself to you, and if I had all the gold and all the diamonds in the world, I would give it to you. However, there's one thing that I cannot give to you, and that is children. And I think that it was really good for Homme to be open and honest about this fact, because in one of the last episodes of season 1, we saw that all the women actually had to go to the clinic, and that was such a beautiful episode. And it's there that Homme finds out that she cannot have any children. So the fact that Lala was pregnant, I think, really hurt her as well. The next scene is Jalika on a job interview, I believe, and the beautiful thing about this scene is that she's actually directly opening up about her history with cancer and how she has been going through a lot. And she's like, well, I don't want to keep this a secret from you, and I want to emphasize my difference with this. And I have cancer, I only have one breast, and this is my story, it's part of who I am, and I want to assure you that even though I have cancer, I am so full of life, and I'm so ready to take on all the challenges that life throws at me. And the guy is like really not shocked, but he's really touched by it, because he actually tells her that, you know what, I'm so sorry about your story with cancer, and I'm actually really touched by your story. It's really personal, and I admire your candor, and I think that being honest and being true to yourself but also different is a good ingredient for having a great collaboration. So I think that the guy was really happy to hear from her personal side and just appreciates her honesty. The next scene is Biram and Merjane, because apparently Merjane has not been eating because of what has been happening with Cher. So Biram is actually checking up on her and actually telling her that, you know what, I heard from the woman in the house that you refuse to eat and that you refuse to drink. And he even tries to make a joke out of it and says that, you know what, a food strike or hunger strike has never, you know, helped anyone. But Merjane is mostly so gutted by the fact that Cher does not want to leave Marem alone. And she's just telling Biram that, you know what, I'm not evil. I just don't want you or your brother to end up like your father. And when he got success, women came from every corner into our lives and they threw themselves at him. And I really had to claim my space and tell these women off. And she also gives the example that when Cher wanted to get married, that she was the one that got out there into the world to find him a suitable wife, a good wife from a good family with great prospects in life, and that was Lala. And the other example that she gives is that when Biram, with his evil marriage wife, had to divorce, she made sure that that happened. And I think that this is where Biram was like, well, please mom, don't say that, because the mom was like emphasizing that, you know what, Jalika's evil father makes that she's also evil. And I think that Biram today does not agree with that. However, if she would say this like last season, that he would not have a problem with it. However, then I think that Biram is the one that proposed to separate Cher from Marem. And I think that Merjane got, you know, a sense of drama, because she was like, no, just let me die. I don't know why God is punishing me. I don't know what he did to me. Because Biram proposed to her that, you know what, let's just separate Marem from Cher, but you just need to eat, you know? And that's when she said about her dying and asking why God is punishing her. So to counter that, Biram was like, you know what, I'm gonna call Cher and tell him about it, because I think that he can force you to eat, or at least reassure you so that you can eat. And she was like, no, I do not want to have anything to do with Cher. And she literally confided in Biram that when she dies, she does not want Cher to approach her corpse, nor does she want him to pray for her. And that was so dramatic of Merjane. After her job interview, Jalika gets like a tour around the showroom, and I think it's for Citroën, but she comes across Rocky, and we all know that Rocky is Maki's best friend. And okay, so Rocky is already a little bit hostile, because she's like, don't act like you don't recognize me. And it's Rocky and Maki. And I thought that was just so over the top. So Jalika's like, yeah, how are you? And the guy that actually had to give her the tour was like, I'll leave you ladies to it. And that was that. And of course, Rocky had to tell Jalika that, you know what, you seem very colorful for a person that's supposed to be sick. And then she continues and she's like, well, don't you ask about Maki? And then she shows the ring on her finger and she's like, well, he married me, and I'm sure that he didn't tell you. Of course, Jalika, she's a really nice person, so she's like, well, congratulations. And of course, Roki's like, well, thank you, but I don't know if you are sincere. And then she gets really honest, because she's like, well, between us, Maki did not really forget about you. And I thought that was really sweet of Rocky to acknowledge, to say, because she actually didn't have to. Also, she's the one married to him. So but then of course she had to add something salty, because she was like, well, I do not want him to see you anyways. So I was like, well, that's too much, because it could be beautiful if she did not say the last part. But of course, Jalika was the one that was mature enough, because she was like, well, don't worry about it, I moved on. And Rocky, she was like, well, that's better for you, because you need to know that one woman's trash is another woman's treasure. Next scene is Amsa, who is really hesitating whether or not to ring the bell. And of course, in the end, she decides not to ring the bell. However, of course, Sheikh opens the door and he sees her and he calls on her. And he's like, what are you doing here? You know, and he's actually encouraging Amsa to come in and talk to her sister Domunde. And yeah, I think that Sheikh is really taking care of Marem because of what Marem's mom told him about what happened in her past and her being sexually abused or raped. And I think that that really did something to him, that now he feels like he has to protect her and have her supported at all times. And well, then when Amsa gets in and she sees Marem, it's like they're so mad at each other. And what's basically said is that she's mad. Well, Marem is mad because in her mind it's all Amsa's fault, because Amsa sent the videos and the pictures to Hamid, and Hamid is the person that eventually sent everything to Lala and Philly, and they were the ones that published everything, you know. But Amsa, she keeps on saying that, you know what, I did not have any reason to ruin you, because she's the one that was left behind, one, and she was the one that was, you know, hearing all these insults about Marem. So she did not benefit from Marem actually being exposed like this. But of course, this is not something that Marem can see, and Marem was like, well, I could have lost my marriage, I had to flee to another country. And she was actually really telling Amsa that, you know what, I saw you as a parent. You were my mom and my dad, and I did not expect you to betray me like this. And Amsa was like, I fulfilled my role as a mother and as a father to you, because I made sure that once everything hit the internet, that you had a ticket to go out of this country. You did not have to deal with any of this. I was the one that stayed behind, and I went through everything, you know. And of course, Amsa was also emphasizing to Marem that, you know what, I did not come here for any forgiveness, so don't expect me to ask for forgiveness. I came here because Sheikh asked me to come, and he told me that you needed me, you know. And that was mostly what they were talking about. And Amsa was like, well, it's my duty to be here for you always, and that's why I'm here. And I thought that this scene was really beautiful, because I always talk about how close Amsa and Marem are, but this scene was really beautiful because I thought that they were genuinely going to be staying mad at each other. But thank God that at one point in the discussion they were looking at each other and they were just laughing and laughing and laughing, because I believe that Amsa was like, you should have known that Hamid was going to take revenge on you anyway, because you were the one that put him in prison. And I think that that's where they were just laughing their asses off. Next scene is so funny because, you see that Dalanda is in the supermarket with her girls, and she's just, you know, reaching for something at the top shelf. And then you see Biram already with his sunglasses, and he's like, okay, okay. And it's really funny because he actually introduces himself to her while he's helping her as her future husband. And she was like, excuse me, I'm with my girls. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, have a good day. And then he walks away, and she's like, wait a minute, your face seems so familiar. What's your name again? And he's like, Biram Jang, but I'm actually really famous, so you might have seen me somewhere. And she's like, huh, Biram Jang. And she's like, are you Biram from Saint Michel? And I think that this is like a place that a lot of people go to study in, like, France. And she's like, well, I'm Dalanda Lopez, you know. And he's like, I'm sorry, I don't recognize you, but if we used to go out together and I forgot about you, then that's on me, like a real player. And she was like, well, I am 20 kilos lighter and I have no braces. And he's like, oh my god, Dalanda. And then they have a nickname for her, and he's like, well, I'm actually now currently a CEO of a family business. I'm a father of 2, and I'm half divorced. At least he says that he's half divorced. And then they actually reminisce about their time together as young people. And Biram is like, oh my god, we need to keep in touch with the others, and let me just get your number so I can create a group WhatsApp. And then he also flirts with her, because he was like, well, I can actually just get your number for myself. And she's like, no. But yeah, it was really cute, different. I would not expect Biram and Dalanda to be of the same orbit. Then we're back at a girls talk between Marem and Amsa, and it seems like everything is good. And they're actually talking about Lala, which is actually not so good, because back talk, guys, back talk. But it's actually really funny because they're asking themselves, like, how did she even get pregnant? And then Amsa makes the joke that, you know what, I'm sure that Sheikh was tossing and turning in bed, and he was actually thinking about you, and then it happened, you know. And they were just laughing so hard. And then one of them is like, she must be one of those wives who thinks that when you have a baby, that solidifies a marriage. And yeah, it's really crazy, because then Marem is like, well, I actually changed because I want to work and focus on having a good marriage with Sheikh. And then they talk about the worries that they have with the stereotypical ways of how of what it means to be a co-wife or a sister wife, and to live in a polygamous relationship with your husband and multiple wives. And they talk also about the stereotypical characteristics of first wives. And then Amsa is like, well, I think that Sheikh's mom is the biggest problem in this whole equation. And they even make the most savage joke of this whole show, which is, well, maybe we should find Marjane a husband. And then Amsa tops it off, because she's like, we need to find her the male version of a Marem Jal that will keep her busy. And oh my god, it was so funny. Then you have Dalanda that's finally going to check out in the supermarket, and of course Biram is right behind her, and they this scene is actually a whole ad for Yup, to show how you can pay with Yup in the supermarket and how it's so convenient. However, in this scene, Dalanda actually comments on what Biram has bought, and he bought some face masks, some skincare products, and he's actually telling her that, you know what, I need to be on my A game because I need to keep my woman and I have some competition. But she does not know that the competition is her husband. And in the next scene, we actually see Jalika and Tairu meeting up because apparently it's his birthday, and she gives him a watch, and the watch is so beautiful, and they're actually teasing and flirting a lot. And at the end, Jalika asks Tairu like, what's on the menu tonight, and he tells her that, you know what, I have some people. He does not specify that it's his wife, his 2 children, but he says that I have some special people that have a special surprise for me because they have this surprise every single year. Also, between all the flirting between Tairu and Jalika, then she asks him like, what do you really want for your birthday? But he's like, I'll whisper it to you later. And in another scene, we see that she's actually asking him, or he is actually telling Jalika that, you know what, I wish we could spend this birthday or special day together, but maybe one day we will. And then he whispers what he really wants for his birthday, and they actually cuddle / hug. Next, Dalanda is in the kitchen, and she's actually saying that Biram actually made the group chat and that they can finally reminisce about their old time study period, I don't know. And then the girls come down, the twins, and they're actually complimenting their mom about how beautiful she looks and how beautiful her dress is. And of course the mom is like, what do you guys want? Because she knows they want something. And one of the twins is like, well, Mom, I want you and Dad to buy us an iPhone 11 because we know that you and Dad have a lot of money. And then this unfolds a discussion because the twins really want this iPhone 11 because in their school they are seen as girls that are uncool because they don't have the latest gadgets. But their mom is like, well, when you're older and you have your job, you just make sure that you have enough money to eat, to drink, to buy your extras, to do fun things, and you can do whatever you want with your money. And the girls really did not understand this because they were more focused on being seen as cool at this moment. But their mom was like, you know what, if that means that you're uncool to not have the latest gadgets, then you better get used to this because there are so many other valuable things in life other than being seen as cool. And she also reflected back on her own experience because she was like, well, I need you to respect me because at your age I did not even have allowance. Then she asked the twins to help her bake a cake for their father's birthday. And this was actually really sad because one of the twins was like, why should we even bother? Because he does not even care about what happens at home anyway. And the mom was like, what? And yeah, the other one was like, well, we understand that you guys have problems. And this still comes back to when we found out that Noura actually knew a lot more than we thought her parents would know about the situation. And I think that once again, children know a lot more than they let on, or we believe or think to believe that they know about. And that's really, really dangerous. However, eventually we see that Dalanda and the girls actually made a cake. They made a lot of food. They really were wearing such pretty dresses. And one of the girls even had a birthday hat on. So I thought that was really cool. And it's really cute that they actually help their mom with this surprise. Also, in one of the scenes, you see that Tairu is actually on his way home for the surprise, and while he's on his way, someone calls him and tells him that there's a emergency. And I was actually thinking that this was something that Jalika set up, but maybe we'll find out in the next episode. I don't know. They're waiting and waiting and waiting, and then at one point they hear a car and they're like already singing, even though the person is still outside. But you know, they realize that it's not their dad, not her husband. And later you see another scene where the girls are knocked out on the couch. The food is untouched. She is still waiting, and when she realizes that the guy is not coming, then she takes off her ring, puts it on a plate, and she wakes up the girls and puts them to bed. And I think that the most hurtful thing to her is that he left the girls waiting, because as she said in another scene to him, is that I don't care if you treat me this way, if you ignore me, if you don't care about me, but do not do this to the girls. They're not used to this and they deserve your attention. Next, we see that there's a scene where Cher is actually talking to his business partner, and somewhere else on the construction site you see two boys actually talking about something they see on their phone, and you soon make out that it's the video or pictures of Marem, because one of them is like, you know what, this is the wife of our boss, and the other one is like, oh my god, send this to me, send this to me. And Cher finds out about this and he tells you to actually kick them boys out, and he does so, but he does this in front of the business partner, and the business partner is like, oh my god, what's going on? But of course he doesn't explain. And next you see that they are going to have lunch at Cher's house, and Lala brings the food in and she shares like the pleasantries, and of course Biram comes in and he's asking Lala to come and help because their mom has not been eating. And Cher actually tells Lala to stay where she is and that he will go with Biram to check up on his mom, because of course Lala, she is about to pop the baby, and I think that this stress cannot be added on her shoulders on top of everything that's going on. And I think that this was really responsible of Cher. So he's telling his business partner like, well, my mom is not well and I need to visit her, and he tells her to, you know, please go eat. Then you see that Cher is at his mom's house and he's like, please mom, go eat, it's not worth it, and I know that in your eyes I'll always be a child, but you need to realize that I am a grown man. And he's actually asking his mom that, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to go out with all the girls left and right and without marrying them, or do you want me to impregnate people all over Senegal or Dakar, or do you want me to be the type of man that has girlfriends but he puts them in apartments without actually marrying them, you know? And I think that he wants to tell his mom that he could have gone about this in so many different ways, but he chose the most responsible way, which is just marrying her. And he also reflects back on how his mom always taught him to be responsible, and that is the reason why he actually married Marem in the first place. And he also tells his mom that, you know what, look at Biram, he is low life, he drinks all day, but you still can find it in your heart to forgive him, to support him. And I think that that was so so true, because you see what Biram has been putting other people through, but his mom is always behind him. But she cannot even take herself to the point to do the same for Cher. And Cher is like sick and tired of it, because he's like, well, Mariam, she has a life and she has been through a lot of stuff herself and she needs our support. And Merjang is like, well, I'm suffering so much because of you, and your dad, he could have married any type of person, but he did not marry anyone. And this is where Cher was like, well, mom, you are a bit blind, because he was like, no, he did not marry anyone, but he did the worst thing ever, because he had a takasuf, which is actually low-key marrying someone but not officially, which is what Cher's dad did to Rocky's mom. And that's how this all, you know, came to this point. And Cher was like emphasizing to her that, you know what, he did not do that, but he did something worse, because he had better taken, if he had taken responsibility for everything that he did, then they would not be where they are today. Then he could have grown up with a sibling and things would be more civilized between the families, you know. And eventually Cher's mom tells Cher to leave her alone and to never approach her even if she's dead. And then you see Cher walking outside and Amsa is calling him, and he is actually updating her about what had happened at his mom's house. And Amsa is actually proposing to him that she talks to his mom, and he's actually like, oh my god, please don't do it, because my mom, she will insult you and your whole family. And she was like, no, I will do anything for Mariam. And she will talk to Merjang. So I think next episode is gonna be something. Next, you see that Rocky's mom is visiting Rocky at her office. And apparently Rocky does not want to take her mom to the office, and she just stays in the lobby. And the mom is like, you don't, this is where you want to receive me? Why? And Rocky is telling her mom that, you know what, we're at a professional workplace, and also you have never done this before, so I don't know what to expect. And I think that is so important, that we do not forget that Rocky's mom did not show any interest in Rocky at all, not in her work, not in her life, not in everything, not in her well-being, up until she became the head of operations at this firm. So I think that Rocky also knows this, so that's why she said that. And she's also asking her mom like, why are you here? And the mom is like, I came to pray for you, to protect your new job, your new position. And then Rocky's like, well, mom, if you had stayed at home on your prayer mat, and I think that the same prayer would have reached God anyways. And the mom actually really gets agitated, because she's like, well, you don't want my help, you don't want you don't want me to pray for you, and you are my pride. And then Rocky's like, well, mom, here at least you have money for the taxi. And the mom is like, taxi? You want me, your mother, to take public transport? I want to take your driver. I want him to take me home. Look at my clothing. I did not put this on for public transport. And then Rocky's asking her mom like, why, mom? Why aren't you just simple? Why can't you just be normal? And this is a company car. I cannot take you home with a company car. And then the mom is like, you know what, I'll take public transport. And then Rocky's like, then what will you do with the money? And the mom is like, don't think about the money, I'll take public transport. So then eventually Rocky gives in, and she's like, you know what, this is the last time that I'll send my driver to bring you home. And I think that Rocky needs to stop this because her mom is over the top. After Rocky's mom realizes that she cannot pray for Rocky, she does ask for Cher and where he is. And Rocky's like, well, he's in his office. And her mom is like, okay, before I go home, I'll pass by him to greet him. So in the next scene, you see that she's walking into his office and she's saying, our firstborn in Popular. And I thought this was so beautiful of her to acknowledge him as her firstborn or something, even though maybe it makes you think whether it's because he's the head of the family still, I mean head of the company still, but still I think it's so beautiful. So she's telling him that, you know what, Cher, you reunited a family even though your mom and I are definitely not on the same page and we don't like each other. And she's saying that he's loyal. And when she's telling him this, she does notice that he's not paying attention and that he's in his own thoughts. So she's like, what's wrong? I don't know you like this. And he's just blaming it on work. And she's like, if you consider me as a mom, you tell me what's wrong. So Cher actually tells her that, you know what, Mom, my household is breaking down. And my mom doesn't want to see me. Biram has turned his back on me. Noura is very afraid, very confused. And Lala, oh my god, I cannot even start to talk about Lala. And since my second wife is back, my life is in chaos. So then Rocky's mom comes out with the cultural things about her own life and her own experiences. So she tells Cher that, you know what, the first wife is the anchor, the pillar of a husband. And if you leave her, you'll be left destroyed. And she also reflects back on her own experience by saying to Cher that, you know what, I never wanted your dad to leave your mom for me, because if I would ask him that, then both your mom and I would have been left ruined. And he's responding by saying, you know what, I actually really love Marem. And I don't understand why my family hates her. And then he says determinedly, he says that I'm going to divorce Lala. And Rocky's mom is like, well, if you leave one woman for another woman, in the end, you'll see that that would be the biggest mistake of your life. And she's just warning him here. And then she also says that, you know what, look at Bakary Sagna. He is wanted for the nasty thief that he is, and people don't even care whether he's live or he's dead, you know. And she's telling Cher that, you know what, think about it, and think about how your life would have been if I would have had, you know, convinced your dad to leave your mom, you know. And I want you to know that I never actually moved on. I never found love after your dad died, and I only focused on, you know, Rocky and raising her. And then Cher asks her, like, well, what should I do? And of course Rocky's mom stands by her point, because she's like, well, don't leave your wife, like, don't leave your first wife even if you don't love her. And I think that this is such a hard thing for Cher, because I think that he's just so done with Lala right now. Next thing is Noura having a small panic attack, and then her dad comes in and he's like asking her that, you know, how are you? And she's like, I'm sick. And then Cher is like, well, let's go to the hospital. And she's like, I'm better. And then they actually talk about this, and he's saying to Noura that, you know what, your teacher told me that you have been crying a lot in class. And Noura responds with a question, because she's like, well, will you divorce my mom? And then she says, like, I want to be with my mom and my little brother. And this is where Cher does not even see the problem, because he's only focused on hearing that he's gonna have a son. And he's like, your mom is going to have a son? And then she's like, yes. And then the scene ends with Noura asking her dad to change schools, because girls and boys in her class have been teasing her about her father's wife being someone that everyone has seen the ass of. And I think that Cher is trying to reassure her that, you know what, it's not true what they're saying. But I think that Noura knows more, and you know, it's still tricky, because any of these kids can just take out their phone and show it to her, and then she would know that her father is a liar. In the last scene, you see Cher finally confronting Lala about the photos and the videos, and he's asking her, Lala, did you publish the photos and videos of Marem? I want to know why you lied. Just reply with a simple yes or no. And of course he does not get an answer, and he's actually laughing, and he's like, it's unbelievable, all this time you've played me. And then we get a reaction of Lala that nobody expected, because she's like, F you, Cher, how dare you start? Leave me the hell alone. What's your problem? And she's just talking about how dare he, you know, lay this on her when he knows that she's about to pop a baby. And oh my god, this baby comes in so many conversations, and for people it's such a reason not to confront things. And oh my god, and at the end she's like, you know what, I'm not even going to allow it. And she's telling him, like, really hatefully, that, you know, you have no shame, you have no class, and that's why you were singing the other day and packing your suitcase as if you were a thief. And since you married Marem, everything has gone to hell. I have no chance, because I have a husband who does not realize that he has a diamond, Lala. However, he still goes into the trash can to find trash, which is like Marem. And she's also emphasizing that everyone in the world has seen her private parts. And she's also saying to Cher that, you know what, I am not afraid of divorce. And if you divorce me, or if you don't divorce me, I'll take care of myself. And then Cher is like, stop. And of course Lala, she's not finished, because she's like, Cher, I know you're a Muslim and that you have the right to 4 wives. However, I do not agree to being a co-wife or a sister wife to Marem. So she lays an ultimatum on him. She's like, you know what, you either choose her or you either choose me. And that is how Maîtresse and I, episode 10 of the 2nd season ended.